welcome back to Stylish Nigeria YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing to Stylish Nigeria YouTube channel. I thank you guys for your love, for your support. If you are new to the channel, you are highly and very welcome. If you have not subscribed, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then hit on the bell on the side to get an update whenever I upload a new video. And guys, if you want to register for our online classes, you can just see my number scrolling through the screen. Send me a message on WhatsApp and then I'll give you the details of the classes we have presently available. Okay, now, so the next thing we're going to do in today's class, in today's class, I'm going to be showing you how to cut a jacket, a bolero. You can see the picture up there on the thumbnail. So that's what we're going to learn how to do today. This is a very simple jacket. It's a very simple jacket, and like it is like a must-have jacket for every classy lady. Yeah, so that's what we're going to learn how to cut today. So you can make use of any fabric of your choice. You can make use of an Ankara, you can make use of a satin, you can make use of a Duchess, you can make use of a damask, any fabric of your choice. So now let's get started. So I have my pattern paper here on the table. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to draft the back pattern, and then after drafting the back pattern, we'll go ahead and draft the front pattern. So now let's get started. So for the back, it's just your regular back and body. So for this, so the measurement that I'm going to be making use of are, the bust is 37. So when you divide 37 into 4, we're going to have 9.5. And then the waist, that's the bust is 37. Then the waist is 30. So when you divide 30 into 4, we're going to have 7.5. So these are just like the two basic measurements that will make use of the bust and then the waist. So I have my lines here on my pattern. So these lines are going to serve. So this is my shoulder line, and then this is my bust line. That's from shoulder to the bust. I'm making use of 10 inches. This is my bust line, and then this is my under bust line, which is 13.5. And then I have my half cut. That's where the jacket will get to, which is 18 inches. So these are the measurements I'm going to make use of. So the next thing we're going to do now, the shoulder that I'm making use of for this pattern is 14 inches. So for beginners that don't know, your shoulder part, you divide the shoulder into 2, and then all other measurements you divide into 3. So for this, the shoulder measurement that I'm making use of is 14. So when you divide 14 into 2, you have 7 inches. So since it is a jacket, I want it to come out a little bit. So I'm going to add 1.5 inches allowance. I'll leave 1 inch and then I'll use half inch to stitch. So on this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. And that 1 inch that I came down with, I'm going to slope that into my neckline area like this. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'll mark my armhole measurement. So for the armhole measurement, I'm making use of 7 inches, which is 14, because I don't want it to be too big. And then I would mark like this. So I'm just going to create my round armhole curve now. So I'm going to curve my armhole now. So in curving my armhole, on this part, I'm going to come out by 1/4 of an inch. So I'm just going to take my pattern curve like this. I'm trying to place it nicely. And then I'm going to roll it. Okay, so now we have our armhole, beautiful. The next thing, we're going to insert our bust measurement, which is our 9.5. I'll come to this point like this. I'll add my 9.5, and then I'm going to add 2 inches allowance to this. So from this point like this, I'm just going to use dotted lines, and then these same lines I'm going to extend to my under bust line. So the next line I'm going to add now is my waistline. So for the waistline, we're using 7.5. I'll mark my 7.5 like this. And then on this part also, I'm going to add 1 inch for my dart. So after adding my 1 inch for that, and then I'll add my 2 inches allowance. So I'll connect all of this with my ruler. So the next thing now, we're going to add our dart. So from my bust line, I'm going to come down. I'll take my bust span measurement, which is 4.5 inches. I'll just mark it all across. Okay, so for our darts, so I've marked all the points. So the next thing on my bust point line, I'm going to come down by 1.5 inches. You can do 1 inch. So I'll just mark a straight line all across on all of the lines. And then from this 1.5 inches that I came down, I'm going to take out, depends on how many inches I want to take out from my dart. So I want to take out 1 inch. So I'll come take out half of an inch on the right, and then I'll take out half of an inch from the left. So I'll just connect now. So I finished connecting. So this is our back pattern. The next thing, I'm going to add my neckline. So for the neckline, I'm using 3 inches for my neckline. So I'll mark my 3 inches wide like this. And then on this side, I'm going to mark just 1 inch. So I'll connect it with my. So the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to cut this out right now. Okay, so you can see I finished cutting my back pattern. So this is my back pattern right now. So I just like repeated everything that I have here on for the front pattern. So we're going to be working on the front pattern. So another thing that I'm going to add on my front pattern, I'm going to add my chest line to my front pattern. So I had to switch to a biro because I ran out of my marker pen. So I'll extended the that line to that top part. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to insert my dart. So for the dart, I'm going to use the same half of an inch that I used for the front. That's what for the back pattern. So that's what I'll still use. And then for this one, I'm going to extend it a little bit. I want it to go a little bit above my bust line. So I'm going to come to this point. So I just went up by 1 inch. You can actually come down, so it depends on what you want. So from this point, I'm going to connect my dart legs to those points like this. Okay, so I've marked out my dart for my front pattern. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to insert the whole measurement into it, just the same way I did, and then I'll come back and shape out the front neckline. Okay, so now we're going to work on the front, on our front pattern now. So the next thing, so I added the neckline. So the neckline, I used just the same 3 inches that I used for our back pattern. So that's what we're using for the front pattern. So for this kind of bolero jacket, I'm going to explain two ways of, it depends on the style you want to give it. So you are the one that will determine what style or pattern. So for the picture that I showed on my thumbnail, from the neckline point here, that's where we're going to mark. That's where we're going to mark. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use dotted lines first. And then you note on my around my dot lines, that's on my dot line. So I'm just going to eyeball it first, and then before I take my final measurement. That is why I'm making use of my pencil. So now I'm going to input my measurements into my pattern right now. So for the measurements that I'm going to use, so for this, I don't want it to come this way too much. So I'm going to I'm going to use 1 inch on, that's for my dart, on the chest line, that's in between, I'll use 1 inch. So that means my pattern is going to come like this. I'm going to create my curve. So whatever you do, make sure that it does not exceed your neckline. If it exceeds your neckline, you're going to run into problems. So I'm just going to curve it like this into my neckline, and then I'll cut it will cut across the dart legs on this side and then comes to the waistline. So I'll use my biro to highlight this first before I explain the other pattern for you guys. Okay, so I've almost come to the end of this tutorial. So please, guys, if you find it helpful, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the like button. And then if you have not subscribed already to my channel, please do subscribe. So at the end of the day, I found out that it's like I even like the Queen Anne pattern. That's the one that the neckline came out more. So this is the original one. So this is supposed to be the original neckline that was supposed to go like this, and then this was the one that we came out a little bit more. So you can see it brought out, it actually gave it a really nice shape around the neckline. So what I noticed, so with this, if you want to even come out more, you can still come out more and then come like this. So this will give the jacket one kind of classy neckline points like this. So thank you so much. If you find this video helpful, like I said, please hit on the like button to make me know you appreciate what I did. And if you have not subscribed already, please subscribe. Thank you so much. I'll see you